Skydiver hangs helpless beneath aircraft. Skydiver cheats death after reserve parachute snags on aircraft tail during 15,000-foot jump. A routine skydiving mission in a far North Queensland turned into a harrowing near disaster when a skydiver's reserve parachute accidentally deployed and became entangled around the tail of the aircraft, leaving him hanging precariously beneath the plane at 15,000 feet. Now let's really get into this story on the AI podcast.
Okay, let's picture this. We're in the skies over far north Queensland. It's a perfect day.
Crystal clear.
And up at 15,000 feet, the Far North Freefall Club is getting ready for a big 16-way formation jump.
This is all routine stuff for them.
Totally. They've got 17 experienced jumpers in a Cessna Caravan. The pilot slows the plane down for the exit, and then everything just shatters. In one just violent moment, a skydiver goes from jumper to, I don't know, a helpless passenger dangling from the tail of the plane.
Yeah, that image, a person just suspended under an aircraft, that's the reality we're diving into. And we're sourcing this directly from the Australian Transport and Safety Bureau's official report.
TATSB report, right.
And our mission here is really to get past the headlines. We want to walk you through the precise, minute-by-minute chaos.
Figure out what that one tiny trigger was.
Exactly. And then look at the two survival battles happening at the same time. The skydiver outside and the pilot inside. And from that, pull out the safety rules that changed everything.
And we've dug through all the details in that report. The chaos in the cabin, the actual damage to the plane, and the split-second calls made under, impossible pressure.
It's a story about skill, but also about how systems learn from near disasters.
So let's set the scene. This wasn't a bunch of beginners.
Not at all. It was the third trip of the day. This is a well-oiled machine. The plane, a Cessna Caravan, is packed.
And the procedure is for the pilot to slow the aircraft to about 85 knots.
Right, which is slow enough for a clean exit. It's the green light, basically. The door opens, and the jump can start.
The first skydiver to go is a team leader. This guy has over 2,000 dives under his belt. He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. So he moves to the roller door, ready to lead the formation out.
But this is where it all goes wrong. A single, tiny point of contact. As he's getting into position, the handle of his reserve parachute, it snags.
And not on the door frame, which is a known hazard skydivers train for.
No.
It snags on the aircraft's wing flap.
The wing flap, an external part of the plane.
Exactly. It's a control surface on the back of the wing. So when that handle caught the jumper's forward momentum in the wind, it was like pulling a trigger. The reserve pin was instantly pulled.
And that means his reserve chute just deploys right there.
Instantly. A fully operational canopy starts to inflate right next to the plane.
The force of that must have been incredible.
Oh, it was violent. The report says he was yanked backward, just ripped out of the doorway.
So hard, in fact, that the camera operator right behind him was knocked out of the plane and into free fall.
Yes. But the really critical damage happened in that split second he was pulled back. The skydiver's legs slammed into the plane's left horizontal stabilizer.
And for anyone who doesn't know, the horizontal stabilizer is that little wing on the tail. It's essential for controlling the plane's pitch. It's nose up, nose down movement.
And when his legs hit it, it caused major structural damage, not to mention serious injury to the jumper.
It's just this terrifying chain reaction, the snag, the deployment, the impact.
And then the canopy wraps itself tightly around the tail, and now you have a person, an injured person, suspended beneath a plane at 15,000 feet. He's become this huge vibrating anchor.
So this is where the story splits in two, right? You have two emergencies happening at once.
That's right. You've got the man outside fighting for his life, and the pilot inside who's certainly flying a plane that's become violently unstable.
Okay, so let's start in the cockpit. The pilot initially has no idea what's happened, does he?
None at all. For him, the first sign is a massive sudden drop in airspeed. The plane starts vibrating like crazy.
So his training kicks in. What does he think is happening?
He suspects an aerodynamic stall. That's what the symptoms look like. The wings losing lift.
Which is a pilot's nightmare. And the instinct for a stall is to push the nose down to gain speed.
The exact wrong thing to do here. But he wouldn't know that. He was trying to fly the plane based on this misdiagnosis.
So it's just pure confusion until someone told him.
Right. The other skydivers still in the cabin saw what happened. They were able to scream over the noise and tell the pilot, "There's a man on the tail."
Wow.
And that's when the strategy has to change instantly. Power back, try to stabilize the aircraft, reduce the vibrations, anything to give the guy outside a fighting chance.
That's just, I can't even imagine. Flying a damaged plane, knowing a life literally hangs in the balance on the other side of the wall.
An incredible feat of airmanship.
Yeah, okay, so let's go outside the plane to our Skydiver. How on earth do you even begin to think in that situation?
I mean, this is where his experience and training just shine. The ATSB report uses the phrase extraordinary composure and skill.
He's injured. He's being blasted by wind.
And yet, he had the presence of mind to know he had one tool that could save him.
The hook knife.
The hook knife. And it's important to know what this is. It's not like a big blade. It's a small, specialized tool with a hook, shielded blade designed specifically to cut parachute lines safely.
Without accidentally cutting yourself or the wrong thing.
Precisely. So he manages to get this tiny tool out, and then he just starts cutting. He's performing emergency surgery on his own parachute rig.
He has to sever every line connecting him to that plane. How many were there?
He cut 11 separate lines.
11. While the plane is shaking and he's thousands of feet in the air, what was the time frame on this?
This is the most astonishing part of the whole thing. He did it in under a minute.
No way! Less than 60 seconds.
Less than 60 seconds to find the tool, assess the situation, and make 11 precise cuts under the worst conditions imaginable.
If he'd taken any longer, the plane might have become uncontrollable.
Or the tail might have failed completely. His speed was absolutely critical.
So he cuts the last line, falls away from the plane, and then what? He still has to land.
He goes into a normal freefall, deploys his main parachute, which did get a bit tangled with the leftover fabric from the reserve for a moment, but he cleared it.
And he landed.
He landed safely. And this is the miracle. He walked away with just cuts and bruises on his legs from the initial impact.
Unbelievable. Just sheer will and a small knife.
But the crisis wasn't over.
Right. The Skydiver is safe, but the pilot is still flying a badly damaged airplane.
The massive drag from the parachute is gone, but the structural damage to the tail is still there. In fact, a piece of the canopy was still lodged around that horizontal stabilizer.
So his pitch control is still severely limited.
Extremely limited. Landing a plane when you can't fully control its nose is, well, it's one of the hardest tests a pilot can face.
So how did he manage it? The report mentions a specific maneuver he used.
Yeah, this was really smart. He realized that to get any control back, he needed to change the plane's aerodynamics. So he made a call to retract the flaps.
Okay, so bringing the flaps in would reduce drag?
It reduces drag, and it subtly changes the airflow over the wings and, crucially, over the tail. That gave him a tiny fractional bit of extra response from his ailerons, his rudder, and his elevator.
Just a little more authority over the aircraft.
It was just enough. It was the lifeline he needed.
And then he declared an emergency.
Oh, yeah. A Mayday call went out to Brisbane Center. He reported minimal control, so everyone on the ground was prepared for the worst.
But he brought it in.
He brought it in. Executed a controlled, safe landing back at Tully Airport. He saved himself, the plane, and the 16 other people still on board.
Just an amazing display of skill from both men. One with a quick, decisive action, the other with slow, methodical corrections.
Right. But for us, the deep dive is always about the so what. What did the investigation find? What changed because of this?
And the ATSB commissioner was pretty clear on the lessons here.
He was. The first one sounds almost too simple. Equipment awareness. Even for pros, being hyper-aware of your gear during that critical exit phase is paramount. That snag was a moment of inattention.
A moment that almost cost him his life. And the second lesson, well, that was the hook knife.
Exactly. At the time of this incident, carrying a hook knife was not mandatory.
It was just a good idea.
A good idea. But the fact that this skydiver had one and used it to save his own life proved its life-saving potential beyond any doubt. It basically became Exhibit A for making them mandatory.
At the Far North Freefall Club, to their credit, they didn't just write a memo, they overhauled their procedures.
They really did. 4 big changes came out of this. First, as you expect, hook knives became mandatory for every single jumper.
No question.
Second, they totally updated their safety procedures for exiting the aircraft. Third, the Loadmaster's checklist was revised to be much stricter about positioning near the door.
And the fourth one was interesting.
It was. They added specific oxygen reminders for pilots. The thinking was that the stress of an emergency like this could make a pilot overlook other standard safety checks. It was a holistic review.
So they didn't just fix the one problem, they looked at the whole system to see where else it could break down under pressure.
That's the sign of a strong safety culture. They learn from a near miss just as thoroughly as if it had been a fatal accident.
It really hammers home how in these high-stakes activities, the difference can be a tiny, sharp tool and the skill to use it in under 60 seconds.
And that really brings us to our final thought for you, our listener. The club mandated the hook knives and updated their checklists after they narrowly avoided a catastrophe.
They learned the hard way.
They did. So the question to think about is this. What are the non-mandatory tools or the unchecked boxes in your own professional world? What are the things you know are good ideas but aren't required? Are you waiting for your own catastrophic snag to make them mandatory? Or are you putting those life-saving tools in your pocket right now? Something to think about.
This was really unexpected. One question for you. How did the skydiver's experience and quick thinking play a role in saving his life? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.